What is up, everybody? This is Lyle with No Hippie Trucking and Transportation, and I am a little under the weather today, but I wanted to bring attention to a condition that is afflicting truck drivers at alarming rates, and that affliction is short-term memory disorder. Now, this is a cause that I really want to champion, so everybody that's watching this video, if you send me $5, it may not help any of these truck drivers, but you can help make me rich. I'm just joking. Let me get on to my topic. Now, what I want to do is kind of tell you a story, and in this story, it's going to kind of give you some of the ways that you can be affected by a truck driver with short-term memory disorder. So, yesterday, I'd shut down at a truck stop, a TA, right inside of Cheyenne, Wyoming. Stayed the night there, woke up kind of early the next day, about 6:30, 7 o'clock. Now, it had snowed a couple days prior to this, so the highway was pretty icy in spots. A lot of it was just that really super, smooth kind of ice, or not necessarily ice, but you could tell it was slick, but it really didn't affect much of anything. But every now and then you would see these pockets of ice that might be about 20 feet long, take up, maybe one or both lanes. And it was kind of that ice that was kind of bumpy, maybe even have some rut marks in it where some tires had gone through. So I'd kind of gone through one of these earlier, so I was really kind of looking out for these patches. Now, right after I started my drive, there was a semi that had lost control, and it hit this bridge, the pillars to a bridge. Now, this, I would assume, it probably happened about 2 hours early. 2 hours earlier. There were still people on the scene. And, sometimes you'll see an accident and you'll be like, okay, that wasn't serious, or I wonder if this guy made it. This was one of those where it was no question that this guy did not make this. So somebody died out there 2 hours prior. So you see that, and then maybe about 3/4 of a mile to a mile down the road, you saw a tractor that was in the ditch, tractor and trailer, and then you saw another one right next to it that was off to the side of the road that had turned over. And this would probably have had to have been the day prior, because it looked like they had did something to seal up the trailers or something like that. So I go through all this stuff, and me, since I don't have short-term memory disorder, something went off in my head and said, you know what, Lyle, you might not want to fuck around out here. So, I kept it at a reasonable 60 miles an hour. I thought for the conditions, really, it wasn't that the roads were bad, it was just bad in spots. But, Wyoming, you could see pretty far off in the distance, and I happened to be the lead truck for most of this. I would say that there were a few drivers that were behind me that weren't really afflicted by this short-term memory disorder, because unlike a lot of times on I-80, you would see a lot of people that would try to pass you up, but I was like the head of the Congo line, maybe about 4 trucks that were behind me. Now, here's what I'm talking about, where the affliction comes into play. So, me and this line of trucks are kind of cruising, 60-ish miles an hour. All of a sudden, you see a truck, at the back of the pack, break out to the left, and then just starts flooring it. Had to be going easily 70, 72, 75 miles an hour even. Well, I'm looking off into the distance because I'm trying to see what the condition of the road's going to be. So that's pretty much what I'm doing, is scanning the road as I'm driving. I can see that there's one of these rough patches of ice coming up. And it really looks like ice that had been treated, but then it refroze again, and it was kind of bumpy. So just to paint a clearer picture. So I see this patch coming up, and it might be about a little over 1/4 of a mile up, maybe a little bit less. I'm really not sure, but let's say 10, 12 truck lengths. So I see this ice up here, so I'm getting prepared to where I'm going to just get off the gas and kind of be aware that I might get a little squirrely going through this. Now I'm looking in my mirror and I see this truck driver hauling ass in the left lane. So I'm trying to judge, when are we both going to hit this ice patch, or are we going to hit it at the same time? By my estimation, I think we're going to hit it at around the same time. So I get off my gas completely, or the accelerator, whatever you want to call it, completely, and I start slowing down. So this truck driver gets to this ice patch probably about, I don't know, a truck length and a half ahead of me, and I'm, he's continually going faster. I'm continually slowing down. So he hits this ice patch, and you could tell his trailer started getting a little squirrely, so you start seeing some of this action going on. Now, I'm not sure if his trailer would have hit me, well, if we had have both gone through there at the same time, but that's really not the point. The point I'm trying to make is truck drivers have the shortest term memory of any fucking body that I know. You just saw an accident where somebody clearly lost their life, and you're out here, driving 72, 75 miles an hour with ice spots like this, pretty prevalent along this stretch of highway, just a little bit past Cheyenne. Now, even if it was nothing more than just respecting the conditions for just, a good 20, 30 minutes before you go on and carry on with your day. But I mean, that is one thing that I see a lot of in truck driving. There was just a big accident in Pennsylvania off the I-80. I guarantee you, well, they shut it down, but I guarantee you that any driver or not any driver, because some drivers have a little bit of common sense, but there were drivers that heard about that accident that without a second thought started tearing through, maybe not that highway since it was closed, but tearing through another highway at 70, 75 miles an hour. And them tour buses, which I guess caused that accident, they're even worse. They drive even faster than the super truckers. So anyway, if you happen to be watching this video and you are a trucker and you are afflicted with short-term memory disorder, please seek help, because I am tired of seeing truck drivers see an accident, know the cause of the accident, and then go and do the same fucking exact thing 30 seconds after seeing the accident. And this could be, you know what? That truck got blown over because 75 mile an hour winds. You know what? Rather than backing it down to maybe 55 or 50 or whatever safe speed would be, you know what? Let me just do 75 miles an hour and assume that this isn't going to happen to me. Or, well, I guess if they're afflicted by short-term memory disorder, they would have forgot about it. But listen, let's help all these guys out here that can't seem to remember the shit that they just witnessed 30 seconds ago. Anyway, sorry, a call just came in. I'm serious about this though, and I'm trying to say it in a joking matter, but that is one thing about being in this industry that just completely amazes me. In almost any other industry, let's say that there was a bunch of people that were doing fraud or whatever in the mortgage business. Once you started seeing some of those people that were committing fraud going to prison, some of those mortgage bankers that were into doing some fraudulent activity did take note of that and did stop doing it. Now, there were a few people that continued to do it, but for the most part, those people that were doing that illegal activity kind of stopped once they realized what the consequences are. So, truck drivers, let's do the same thing. Let's not see some shit and then continually do the same shit that got that other driver in trouble and put me and other truck drivers at risk as well. Anyway, thanks for stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I'm out.